Hey guys, Disletter Magic here, back with some more spoilers from Double Masters, and boy, the hits just keep coming. Let's start out with a big bomb card. We've got Send Triplets, and I thought, okay, that's a pretty expensive card until I realized it's a Mythic, so it's not that good of a Mythic, honestly. So the original Alara Reborn one is about 25 bucks, so, you know, not terrible, but this reprint of it is floating in around 12, 13 bucks. Boy, that barely even pays for the pack. That is not amazing. Now, that said, it's a good card. It is triple color, 5-drop, 3/3, and look how small they had to make the font to make it say Legendary Artifact Creature - Human Wizard. That is awesome. You usually don't see that on English cards. You usually see it on German ones. But anyway, it says at the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. This turn, that player can't cast spells or activate abilities and plays with their hand revealed. You may play lands and cast spells from that player's hand this turn. I mean, they could run their turn just fine, and we all know that nothing good happens when your opponent casts a spell during your turn. So, you know, as oppressive as this seems, I'm kind of in favor of it a little bit. But the whole steal their card and auto-cast it, I don't know about that. It doesn't say the typical phrase about, oh, and any mana is any color too, so you'd have to actually have the colors, but this card kind of proves you have 3 of the 5 colors. See, I mean, I kind of hate this card, and I kind of like this card. I don't know. If you're trying to stop them from counterspelling your stuff and you know they have counterspells in hand, throwing this out, newsflash, they're going to counterspell this card. So it's not as good as you think, but, I mean, you're still stealing their cards. Next up, we got Dora's cousin, Tuk Tuk the Explorer, and he's a 1/1 for 3 with haste, and when he enters, when he dies, create a Tuk Tuk the Returned, a legendary 5/5 colorless goblin golem artifact creature token. Because why the hell wouldn't you? I'll be honest with you, this is the first time I've ever seen that card, and that's hilarious. Now, somehow this card is only 35 cents. I would have put it at least $3. I mean, this is like a pretty decent card. It's a 5/5 for 3 mana in red, and all you have to do is just block with it once, basically. Plus, there's a lot of goblin decks that have, like, sacrifice a goblin. Do this. I don't know. I like it. Next up, we got Archangel of Thune, another Mythic. So, yeah, this is an M14 card. It was also an Iconic Masters, but they're already putting it in this one, too. But it makes sense because it's still, even right now, ordering at $20. This is a damn good card. It's a 3/4 for 5 with Flying and Lifelink, and whenever you gain life, put a counter on each creature you control. So this is like Pride Made on steroids. This card is crazy. I mean, if you're going to top off your, like, white life gain trigger deck with a couple little things in the 5-drop slot, I'd probably grab this one before I grab even a 5-cost Johnny Planeswalker. It's just too good. I mean, the card's crazy good. I do think it was a little bit much to not just give her a name so that they can slap Legendary on it. You really wouldn't ever want someone to have 2 of these, but whatever. Next up, we got Leisure the Tangle. It's a rare from Scars, and it's $2 right now currently. It's an 8-cost 8/8 with Trample, and when it deals combat damage to a player, which, let's be honest, it will, you may choose any number of target lands you control and put an Awakening counter on each of them. Each of those lands is an 8/8 green elemental creature token, or creature, not token, obviously. For as long as it has an Awakening counter on it, they're still lands. So think of Nissa turning lands into 3/3s, except they become 8/8s, and it's any number of lands. So you just hit them once, and your entire mana base basically becomes 8/8s. Holy crap. I mean, I know it costs 8, but, like, how is this $2? Come on. This is actually downshifted in rarity, too. This is a Mythic in Scars. Next up, we got Avenger of Zendikar. It's a 7-cost Mythic, by the way. 5/5 elemental, and when it enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 green plant creature token for each land you control, and then it has landfall. So I think this is the first we've seen about a land-based mechanic. We might have had a hint of it before, maybe one card. But yeah, landfall, pretty cool. I love it. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a 1/1 counter on each plant creature you control. Yeah, this card's nice. It was in Commander 2013 and 2018. It was originally in World Wake, and now it's in Double Masters, and even now, it's still a $9 card. It was quite a bit more expensive before. Probably because this card's amazing. I mean, nobody can stop you from dropping in a land, and it's almost impossible to remove a trigger from the stack. So, just, here you go, have some plants. I mean, unless they board wipe, they're going to be in trouble. And yeah, it costs 7, it's only a 5/5, but it's a good card. Next up, we got some famous equipment, the Lightning Greaves. I guess not really the Lightning Greaves because it's not legendary. It's some Lightning Greaves. And equipped creature has haste and shroud, so nobody can target it. It's like hexproof, but for you too. It has equip 0. Hello. So, I mean, you could just move this from creature to creature, and whatever you drop in, boom, haste. It's coming at you, no matter if haste would be fair and balanced on that card or not. And also, good luck removing it. They basically have to defeat it in combat. This is amazing equipment. And it's so, like, simplistic but universally great that it was printed in Archenemy, Commander 2015, Commander 2016, 2017, 2019, 2020, Commander Anthology, obviously, Commander Anthology 2, the original Commander, and the Phyrexia versus Coalition dual deck, plus Mirrodin, plus it was in the Mystery Booster, plus it was an F&M promo, plus it was one of the Kaladesh Inventions, aka Masterpiece cards. Which is, by the way, sitting at $130. Hello. So, certain versions of this were, you know, upwards of like $7, $8, $9, $10, but yeah, it's currently going for $4. I don't know why it's so low. That seems weird to me. I would have tried to get a $5 out of it, but whatever. At least, you know, it's really good. A lot of people could use it for Commander. Now it's affordable, so hey. And as you can see, it is going to be one of the box toppers / VIP pack cards, and that special one is only going for $60, the borderless non-foil. Next up, we got Death Shadow, the card at the center of the Death Shadow deck in Modern. Obviously, it kind of like was played, then it wasn't, then it was, and I think now it's back to wasn't, because it's kind of a dumb gimmick, but you guys might find this interesting. It's a 13-13 for 1, except it gets -X where X is your life total. So you got to be at 12 or it just dies. 12 or lower. So a lot of people will just like hit themselves, and then, oh, look, I've got like a 10-10, and I'm almost dead, and it doesn't have trample. The deck's not good. It's very dangerous, and it only beats another deck if the deck wasn't prepared for it in any way and didn't see it coming. A bit much of a risk for me. I mean, I'll do some risk-reward stuff, like I'll just blindly, you know, take 2 damage to draw a card to, you know, because maybe it'll work or something. But this is going a little far even for me. I think this is a little nuts. And you know what? It's pre-ordering at $3, so I think other people have kind of come around to that opinion. Next up, we got Brainstorm, which I thought was on the reserve list, but apparently it's on the ban list for Vintage, so I was close. Oh, and the ban list for Vintage is actually just a restricted list, by the way, but whatever. So this is the borderless box topper version. It's looking like they're wanting about $60 for it, but I will say the actual card is only 79 cents. I think this should be banned from anything. It just adds way too much deck consistency. So it's a 1-cost instant blue spell, and you draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. So you could, in theory, keep 100% of the cards you drew, all 3 of them, and put 2 other cards from your hand on top of your library. You get the cards back anyway. I mean, if you're going to pull off some combo or you're looking for one particular card, this is the way to do it for 1 mana. I mean, you basically start the game with 10 cards because of this. Well, I guess 9 because you'd lose Brainstorm, but whatever. The one downside, though, is you have to put those cards back on top of your library whether you want them or not. So most people would do this, then crack a fetch land and shuffle if they didn't like what they put there. I don't like this. I don't like Ponder. I don't like Preordain. I'm literally just naming cards off of ban lists, so need I say more? Need I support my point any harder? Next up, we got another Shadowmoor card here. It's Mana Reflection. It is a 6-drop, but if you tap any permanent at all for mana, it produces twice as much of that mana instead. So if you're already tapping something that generates more than 1, watch out. So yeah, big power card. It was only ever printed in Shadowmoor. It was like $40, $45, but now it's $20, which is pretty nice for the rare slot, actually. That's a lot of value. Next up, we got the Basalt Monolith, which always reminds me of the Basalt Bunker in New Kotra, Exile 3, where my Exile 3 homie's at. Or was it Formello? I don't remember where it is. Which is really funny, because if you know the end game, it's protected by like an ignorance spell where people see it, but they don't like acknowledge it. It's like a mental manipulation spell to keep people from like mentioning it, or yeah. Apparently it's affecting me. Anyway, this one doesn't do anything nearly as cool, but it's a 3-drop artifact, and it doesn't untap during your untap step, but you can tap it and add 3, which is crazy, because it comes in untapped, but you just spent 3 on it. Or you can pay 3 and untap Basalt Monolith. You might think, well, that literally does nothing. No, it was specifically designed to do stupid degenerate shit. So something about untapping artifacts, you could get way up there in the amounts, but I'm gonna guess nobody did anything too crazy with this because it's a $4 card. But then again, it's not a 25-cent card, so it's in something. It's mostly a commander card from what I've seen it in. Next up, ooh baby, we got a controversial card in this spicy hot meatball, which is honestly what it looks like. That actually looks pretty tasty. So this choke boil, I think there's something about forest, is like forest fire or something. Any card that just says, hey, your whole mana base, useless. What the hell deck doesn't need mana? What deck can operate without mana from lands? Like, none of them. I mean, maybe 1% of decks. This card is bullshit, and I 100% support the majority of pros and competitive players that say this should be banned. The best I've heard it summarized as, I forgot who said this, wish I could quote them, but they're like, this is a binary condition. You sideboard it in when it'll screw over your opponents, and if you get it, they lose, and if you don't get it, you lose. Unless you win a different way. But yeah, this card is probably one of the most hated in all Magic as far as just widespread hate. Because, well, if you're not looking at the screen, it's a 3-drop enchantment, which is very hard to get rid of, and non-basic lands are mountains, which makes this really hard to get rid of. So your basic lands still function, so honestly, Choke and Boil are probably worse cards, but they need to ban this. And yeah, I just double-checked it's legal in Modern, Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. It shouldn't be. This level of fundamental shutdown is just absolute bullshit. So this has been printed quite often. It was actually one of the invocation masterpieces in Hour of Devastation, currently about $100. This goes way back to the Dark. It was in MM1, it was in MM3, Masters 25. I want to say it was an Iconic. No, I guess not. It was in 8th edition and 9th edition, though. It was also in Chronicles. That might be the oldest one, actually. Back then, I guess they thought it was fair, but there was a lot of like specific color targeting, and they thought it was some kind of rock, paper, scissors when really it's just dumb. So their fundamental game design strategy back when this was first printed was completely wrong and not relevant to today, which is another good reason to ban it. But that said, I mean, it's about a $11 reprint it's looking like, and the borderless version, this one is upwards of about $80. Hopefully they ban it sometime. Next up, we got Goblin Guide. Oh boy, it's 2/2 for 1 with haste, which is pretty baller. And whenever it attacks, which it will, defending player reveals the top card of their library. If it's a land card, that player puts it into their hand. I've had people against my SEAL Team 6 Modern deck lose 2 turns earlier than they would have because of this card. I've gotten infinite counterspells on Isochron Scepter on turn 3 because somebody played this card. That's in my Tap Dance deck. I've had people allow me to wipe the board with my Black Death Mono Modern deck because they played this card. So it's a bit of a gamble, and when it backfires, you lose. For me, that's not worth 1 extra point of damage. Then again, in a Red Winds deck, I mean, every 1 point of damage is extremely valuable. Like, I can't even understate it. But boy, are you going to get your ass kicked by giving me a free land on turn 1. That's not smart. Now that said, it kind of cuts both ways. I always tell people, if you give someone a land, like Path to Exile or something, or that other shitty card that people used to play like a year ago that everybody thought was good and isn't. I think it's actually still legal. Basically, if 1/3 of my deck is lands, then you put me ahead 3 turns by giving me a free land. But if 1 in 3 cards on the top of my library can be expected to be a land, then you have a 2/3 chance of whiffing. And then you just get to hit me for 2 on turn 1, which could be my turn 0. So overall, I mean, it's kind of a good card. It's just, I don't want a 1 in 3 backfire rate and then start stacking it with, okay, the next turn. In every Modern deck I've ever built, trust me, you do not want me to get to 4 mana. So helping me get to 4 mana is probably not what you want to do. I have purposely not blown this creature up because it was so unbelievably beneficial to me. So personally, I'd never play it, and I just kind of think that Red Rush and Red Winds decks and Red Burn decks are just gimmicky garbage. But other people love this card. I guess they like gambling. I don't know. So, yeah, this is about a $9 card because, you know, it's played. And this borderless one, it's one of the box toppers, is about $60. By the way, I kind of love this artwork. So next up, we got Vishkal Blood Arbiter, a legendary card, obviously, because they named him. I don't know if you've noticed that pattern. It's a 7-drop with double black, single white. At this point, why do they even bother? It's 4 generic. You probably have 1 white available. I guess, so it's like forced to be put into a 2-color deck. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it's a legendary creature vampire, flying lifelink, 5/5, pretty standard. And if you sacrifice a creature, put X/1/1 counters on Vishkal Blood Arbiter, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. So they target this with like a 5 damage spell. Cool, sack something else. They target something else with something else. Boom, you sack it. Now you get counters. Very flexible. Then also remove all 1/1 counters from it. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each 1/1 counter removed this way. So you better really want that target gone because that is a big detriment for something that has lifelink. But, you know, a baseline 5/5 in the air with lifelink isn't that bad. I think for 7, that's an appropriate cost for this card. It is hyper powerful, but it's like, yeah, it costs 7, whatever, and it's not in traditional ramp colors. So I think the card's absolutely amazing. I mean, add in like death triggers and stuff, yeah. So this was in the original Commander as one of the commanders, and that's it. Strangely enough, it's only $5. I guess nobody wants a 7-cost Commander, even though he's really good. Personally, in my black-white deck, I run Life Manipulation. I'm running Eiley, because she costs 2. And honestly, her recurring removal is better. And also, she's like $1. So next up, we got the borderless version of Stoneforge Mystic. I mean, we already know the card was in there, but here's the borderless version. All right. That looks dead-ass nothing like Nahiri at all. That's not her face. That's not her hair. That's not her armor. I think that's just not her. I mean, have you seen M14 Jace, where apparently he briefly was the lead singer of Green Day? So believe it or not, only a $70 card in this form. Next up, we got Batterskull, another one of the box toppers. So this equipment has living weapon, so it drops into a 0/0 black germ creature auto-equipped. And equipped creature gets +4/+4 and has vigilance and lifelink. Hello. I mean, it's a 5-drop, okay. Equip 5, okay. And then 3, return Batterskull to its owner's hand. I was going to say, well, they better be blowing it up, but then I realized, no, you just, pay 3 to bring it back, pay 5 to drop it in, and oh, look, it's equipped to something now, and you can start lifelinking again. I mean, yeah, an ability that powerful should probably cost 8 total, which is what it does, so, that makes sense. So yeah, this card's pretty nuts. This borderless version, $80. Regular version that's also in the set, it's going to be $15. And it was only ever in New Phyrexia except for the Grand Prix foil promo. Next up, we got Geth, Lord of the Rings. I mean, Lord of the Vault. So believe it or not, this is in Commander 2019 and Scars of Mirrodin. It's only a $1 card, so we have hit dead-ass rock bottom on the Mythics here. And Lord of the Dance here is a 6-cost 5/5 with Intimidate. It can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it, which is, better than regular and blockable, I guess, but still annoying. And then if you pay X +1 black, put target artifact or creature card with converted mana cost of X from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control tapped, then that player mills X cards. Oh, you can get that going. You could definitely get that going. I mean, it's artifact or creature. That's pretty nuts. It's kind of like Whip of Erebos, but like a little bit slower, no lifelink, but recurring and even cheaper. Well, potentially. So like you're still paying the cost of the creature, so you can't just resurrect an Emrakul or something. But it's a fairly fair card. It's interesting. It's kind of conditional. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I think it should probably be at least a $5 card. I mean, geez. So next up we got Savageborn Hydra. It's a 0/0, sure it is, and a Christmas plus X colored mana there. And it has double strike, hello, and it enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters on it. Then if you pay 1 generic +1 hybrid Christmas, put a +1/+1 counter on Savageborn Hydra. Activate this ability only anytime you would cast a sorcery. This is definitely on my list for overpowered Hydras. There's a couple on there. I know there's one where, isn't it like every upkeep it doubles counters? Like by doing nothing, you don't have to pay for anything. Yeah, shocker, that one made my list. But yeah, this one's pretty egregious. It's pretty ridiculous. Even without ramp, it's pretty ridiculous because obviously you're going to pour any kind of spare mana into this. The double strike, you get a 2-for-1. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have trample at all, but like it could. Just give it trample. And oh no, it's sorcery speed only. Yeah, because you got your blue counterspell sitting there for the end of their turn. So yeah, definitely not a fan of this card. And believe it or not, it's only 49 cents. So I explained that one. I mean, yeah, it was in Iconic Masters in Dragon's Maze and the Ravnica Allegiance Guild kit. Okay. But wow, do people really just not play these colors or something? That should cost a lot more. This card's insane. Anyway, next up we got Ravenous Trap. I heard there's a lot of these out in Thailand. Anyway, if you pay 4, it's an instant subtype trap. Or is that a second super type? No, it wouldn't be, would it? I don't know. I've never seen it. So if an opponent had 3 or more cards put into their graveyard from anywhere this turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the great equalizer right here. This is Tormod's Crypt at instant speed. And in order to play this, by rule, you have to say you activated my trap card. If you don't say it, it's like Uno. You got to draw 3 cards. That doesn't make any sense. That joke fell apart real quick. Anyway, this is only a 25-cent card. It's from original Zendikar and probably some other stuff. Anyway, next up we got Ratchet Bomb, which, fun fact, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, that is Mark Rosewater's Drake name. So it's a 2-drop artifact, you tap it, put a charge counter on it, and then obviously you can do that the turn it comes out. Then if you tap it and sack it, destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Ratchet Bomb. Now, unlike that one land, Blasting Zone, this can do 0. In fact, you can drop this in for 2 and then light it off. So bye-bye clones and tokens and ornithopters. Oh, and pure X spells like Stone Coil. Yeah, a most likely asymmetric board wipe-ish for 2 mana in colorless. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, it takes a while, but like, you get a counter the turn it comes out if you tap it. It's not that bad. It's a Scars of Mirrodin card. They're obviously, hitting that pretty hard. It was also an M14, believe it or not. really? I played when this was legal. And now it's in Double Masters, but unfortunately it's 49 cents. Ouch. Next up, ooh, we got a hot, spicy value card here. It's Avacyn Angel of Hope. This is the borderless version, $100. Not surprised. It's kind of like a baseline guess of what they think it might be worth. And yeah, the Avacyn restored version of this is $55. Like right now, it's $55. So this one right here, being a mythic, okay, cool, but it's $40. Like that's high even for a mythic. This card's batshit crazy. So it's 8 cost, which, you know, I'm surprised it's playable, but I think people probably aren't paying that full cost. And it's an 8/8 with Flying Vigilance and Indestructible. Hello. And other permanents you control of Indestructible. Yeah. This is like Platinum Angel's cousin right here. I mean, this is Platinum Jr. Now, see, my issue with this is the most famous artwork of it is in the From the Vault Angels because it's the same as the original. And that one's only $55. Which is really weird. I mean, Angels was pretty recent, but I don't know. I mean, that the original non-foil Avacyn restored version of Avacyn is $55 as well. Something's going on there, but like I said, this reprint of it appears to be $40, so whatever. It was also an Iconic Masters, strangely for $50. I'm starting to think Card Kingdom's prices are a little wacky. So big money, big power on that one. Next up, we got Maze of Ith. Oh yes. You can drop it in as a land untapped, cool, and then tap it. It actually does not tap for any mana of any kind, but you can untap target attacking creature, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by that creature this turn. So you're basically removing it from combat. The only difference is it's still considered an attacker that's attacking, but like, so like if you're gonna bounce attacking creature back to hand or something, you would just do that. But yeah, I mean, people were playing the card that does this for 4 in standard because it's that damn good. So unsurprisingly, this is still an $18 card as of this printing. It was in EMA, it was a big power card there for $25, and the dark version of it is only $30. That seems low, go buy that one. But they have a judge foil of it that's $85, so I'm surprised this isn't a box topper in the set. I really am. So next up we got Oblivion Stone. It is approximately $5 reprint, give or take. And it's a 3-drop, and if you pay 4 and tap it, put a fate counter on target permanent. And then if you pay 5 and tap it and sack it, destroy each non-land permanent without a fate counter on it, then remove all fate counters from all permanents. So it's kind of like Karn Liberated, also in the set, but, you know, different enough. At least this one doesn't affect your lands, but that's almost worse, because then at least, like, the person would probably feel obligated to preserve their own lands. Unless they just like had a flying 5/5, they put a fate counter on it, blow everything straight to hell next turn, and just hope that that works while you have no lands at all. I mean, that'd be kind of funny. And totally unfair, so at least it doesn't do that. Next up, I thought we already covered this. I don't know, maybe not. So Darksteel Forge, a 9-drop, all artifacts you control have indestructible. That's a $20 mythic, so, you know, hey. And that's actually the last card, so pretty spicy spoilers today. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys next video.